Hello guys, welcome back. It's Christmas holidays and I haven't been sitting still. So we already finished up the design for the subframe and everything. So I'll be going into that a little bit later on. And it's kind of in the Christmas spirit. A lot of parts came in. So we have our adapter ring, we have our new clutch that's in. Got some cool coilovers that we specially ordered for the project, and we got some nice stuff, nice parts in to make our subframe arms, which we're gonna do today. Already vented a couple of things because I already had some time off working on it, but my phone was empty, so we got some tubing already done and prefabricated, but we still need to bend up some other stuff and cut it and make it to length. We're still waiting for the laser cut pieces for the design, which will come in about 2 weeks, but we're just gonna do whatever we can up to that point. And yeah, I'll go through the design a little bit, what I did and why I chose to do it in this way. And then we will start bending some tubing and cutting it up and hopefully get it all right, because I have not ordered extra material to do it twice. So it all needs to be done in one go. So yeah, let's go over the design and start from there. So I hope you can see it very well, because I'm just filming my screen. Last time we 3D scanned our engine and gearbox, and we actually scanned our engine compartment as well as the subframe. Now it becomes a little bit unclear, but we have our subframe here. We also have some fenders, at least the insides. So that was basically our point where we took off. I found the wheels that I want to put on the car as a digital file on GrabCAD and put those in there as well, also knowing our spacing and the sizing of the wheel. And the tire might be a little bit bigger, but this is more or less what I want to achieve, and I'm not gonna slam it to the floor because I don't really like that for this car particularly. So yeah, let's go through it a little bit. How my process goes on how I designed my subframe. So I can turn this one off real quick. Yeah, so there we go. So for one, I drew up all the main connection points of the existing car. So I have redrawn the subframe of the body tubes, or yeah, whatever you want to call them. So this is the actual frame and just a redesign of it. I then imported the spindles and put those in the correct location, and played around a little bit with the geometry on what I wanted to do and how steering angle goes. And the first part that I actually drew was the upper arm, and I chose to use those connecting rods, or rod bearings, or whatever they are called actually, for the top ones, because now I can place them inwards, left to right, right to left. If I turn off my wheel, so I can move it either side, I can turn them outwards so I can adjust the camber, and I have one in the front as well that will help me also control the aft, basically, on how far my spindle is going upright or leaning backwards a little bit, if I can get that into view. So now it's up straight, and maybe I want to play around with that as well. So that was one of the things that I wanted to do. Of course, we needed to do some new springs, so that's why I got the coilovers, and I can order them to different lengths and everything. I got a 12-month warranty on it, basically 12-month exchange period on it, so it is pretty good. And for the lower arm, I just did a bearing at the end. So here is going to be a bearing. So this is going to be non-adjustable except for camber. So we have another place where we can adjust camber on the car, and our steering rack is going to be placed at the backside of the engine. So we have a nice easy access to it for steering inwards and outwards. And my steering angle is about 45 degrees, so we have a lot. So that's more than enough for what we're doing. And construction wise, I wanted to make a nice grill. I'm probably gonna put something in the front as well, which I didn't drill in, because I also want to maybe, if it's possible, do the radiator mount to the cradle, making it easier for maintenance on the gearbox or anything, because then I can just drop the subframe out of it instead of hoisting out the engine and everything. And the gearbox is not going to be accessible to disconnect with the engine inside the car, so I want to keep that as simple as possible, so I don't need to exchange fluids and stuff like that if it needs to happen, which it probably will. Next to that, I made a nice cradle for the subframe connection to the engine. Normally it's one bolt that screws it down basically, but I'm gonna use two. So there's also one gonna be located somewhere over there. I already have the hole here. And it's just gonna bolt through. So it's gonna be stiffening the frame up a lot. And same counts for like the plate going down. This is all 4mm steel plating. So this is going to be very, very sturdy, and we have an extra tube in there to make it accessible to put our bolts in there, which is kind of funny, but yeah, we had to do that, otherwise it wouldn't be possible to put everything together. And as well as our motor mount. First we're going to just do some solid motor mounts, probably going to change them eventually to some rubber motor mounts, but they're very at least much more expensive. We first want to get everything in the correct orientation where we want to put it, so that's gonna help us first, and then we're gonna do that afterwards. Other adjustability that we have is in our coilover. We have plenty enough space to move it around, so we can have it upright, and we can turn it in and turn it out on different lengths, but also the geometry, if you want to have it more up straight or leaning down, we can play with that a little bit. It's probably not very necessary to do so, but if we want to get into all of that kind of stuff, then we can do. We also have our transmission mount, which is relatively simple, and we still have some adjustability to move it backwards, since I believe I spaced it out 15mm. This could be a little bit more on the spacer, as I did not have that in yet. And I don't know the exact angle on the engine as well. So I'm still also I still also need to figure out what the tilt of the engine will be. Will it be more degrees downwards? Because I believe it's not straight up, which I would like to try, if that's possible, with the gearbox. So the gearbox is tilted on an angle. It would be cool that everything is up straight. But yeah, need to figure that one out. Did notice that I need to redo the exhaust. Since it's, yeah, there you can see it, since it's hitting the subframe, basically. At least the inner two runners are. So maybe I can modify those that they don't, or we just make a complete new header, probably a little bit more V8 kind of styled header, and also need to get past the motor mounts and stuff like that. So, but I can do a couple of things with that, and that will probably be easy enough, and get plenty of room to figure something out. So yeah, we're gonna try and bend everything up today. So we're first gonna do this one, and we have some adjustability to it, so it's not need necessarily, if it's off by more than 10 millimeters, we have an issue. But if it's not, then it's fine. Since we need to have two angles in there which are the same opposites of each other, so this one and that one's parallel to each other. We have some adjustability backwards and forwards, which is fine. But this distance from that parallel to the center line of that needs to be as accurate as possible. We can of course always move the mounting pin upwards a little bit or downwards a little bit, but I prefer to have it centered because it's a lot easier to make as well. So yeah, let's go and try and do that and don't mess it up. And we have to do two of them, which will be fun to do, and we'll have a look at it. So we need to have the correct radius in there because this one's already not correct. So yeah, that's our first error. Nevertheless, let's go and change this. It's 0.7. That one's equal to that one. And this probably needs to be moved backwards a little bit. So there we go. It's always good to double check. Will it still work? It probably will. But it's gonna be interesting because I don't have that much room to clamp in the bends and make an S shape, so it needs to be tight enough. And this is probably the minimum that I can do. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be tricky. But yeah, let's try it and see what happens. So we have our first S-shaped bend. It's nice and flat, but we were off by a little bit. The inside measurements, or the front one, it should have been 21.7. So it should have been there. We were off by, let's say, 4 or 5 millimeters. So that's fine. That's good. So that's no issue. That's one down. Now we need to do another one exactly the same. So they're almost 100% parallel. You can actually squeeze them together. This bend could have been like maybe 1 degree more or something like that, because it's hard to get the degrees right by hand. Nevertheless, we're pleased. So this is good. We need to cut them up a little bit because it's way too long. And then we have some rest material left to do some other stuff. Maybe even make some extra bracing in the subframe, and or make a different set of lower arms if we want to, if we have to. But for now, this is good enough, and let's cut these to length roughly, and then continue making our upper arms, for which we also need to bend some material, 25 millimeters. So it's gonna be next. And now the actual fun stuff begins. So we need to make everything according to our design, make its length, measure everything up, and like distance between this and that needs to be 190 millimeters. There and here needs to be a certain distance, etc., etc. So we're gonna make a little jig picture thingy with angle iron and some square tubing, that we can make one, and the other one is basically the same exact opposite of it. So that would be fine, and that's what we're gonna do, and that's gonna be our starting point. So we have continued a little bit. We skipped some time because my phone died and couldn't get it to turn back on, film and continue. But yesterday we made one control arm. Well, almost finished it up because couldn't get there with the welds. So we're gonna do that, not inside the jig. But we prepped everything for to length. So these are the bottom control arms, which we're also going to weld up in a minute, and same counts for the other upper control arm. Left and right's the same, so it's opposites of each other, so it doesn't really matter which one's which. They weld really nice, so it's quite easy to weld them. There's nice chamfer and it works like these bungs, or whatever they call them, the threaded pieces, they're like super cool. Quite expensive, but they do the job. Instead of welding in a nut or something like this is way better. So we're gonna continue welding and make that one, finish that one up, make those two, and put in the bearings and see how it looks. And then we can probably call it a day, because furthermore we don't. Oh, we can put it on one of the spindles and see how it looks. Other than that, we're kind of stuck till the laser cutting comes in. So let's continue. So we finished the welding and we mounted the mounted the eyes as well, the bearings, and they're actually pretty nice. So we can adjust the depth and then lock it with the nuts and adjust all kinds of things that we want to adjust on the car, on the suspension, which is pretty cool. This is how far we can go for now. We need some laser cut steel pieces in, and yeah, so that's how far we are. Everything looks really nice. It all fits very well and it looks proper. So next time we will continue on the subframe. We already have all the tubes and stuff bent over here, which is going to be fun to put together. And we have our shocks as shown, so we can actually start mucking up some stuff. We still need to weld on the lower brackets for the shocks on the lower arms and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is what we can do for now. And we got the clutch in as well for the engine. But at first probably want to finish up the subframe before we continue bolting that to the engine, and then we could probably put it in the car and leave it there for a long while. Actually today also came in the new radiator and some new bolts and the fan, so that's also pretty cool. So we can mock all that kind of stuff up and start doing some cardboard edit design as well, since we still need to finish up some things in the engine bay and cover all the holes and do some plating on the side and cut out this and some other stuff. So that's gonna be fun, and it's a nice starting point to continue next time. See you guys. Bye.